In this video, I'm going to show you preventative maintenance for your under-desk walking pad. I've done shorts on specific steps in the past, but this is going to be an exhaustive video where I show you all of the daily, weekly, and monthly rituals you're going to want to perform to extend the lifespan of your walking pad. Now, for context, there are budget walking pads, premium walking pads, and then what I call ultra premium walking pads. The ultra premium walking pads, like the Walkolution 2, they don't have a motor. They're manual walking pads, and so there's no electrical machinery involved. And as a result, there's little to no maintenance for the entire lifespan of the treadmill. It almost cannot break, but they're very, very expensive. The premium walking pads, the famous ones are Lifespan and Unsit. Lifespan runs around $1,800, and the life of a lifespan is about 8 years. It has a motor and electrical machinery, and so it still does require maintenance. So everything I'm going to talk about in this video applies to the premium models too. Don't be mistaken that this is only regarding budget treadmills. But the premium models are a little bit more robust to lack of maintenance upkeep than the budget mills are. And the budget mills run around $300. That's a vast gap, $300 to $1,800. It would take you 12 years if these things last 2 years a pop to reach the price point of a lifespan. You don't know where you're going to be 2-3 years down the line. The technology is going to improve. And importantly, a warranty means you don't have to buy a new budget mill every time. We'll talk about that in a bit. I'm personally a big advocate of the budget mills, as you've seen in my videos. But with the budget mills, these maintenance rituals that I'm going to show you are absolutely required. If you don't keep up with the maintenance, as you'll see in discussions online, the lifespan of these things can be 3 weeks to 6 months. So these are daily, weekly, and monthly rituals you want to keep up with your budget mill to make sure it lasts the full 2 years. Everything I'm going to use in this video, you can see here. We have a treadmill mat, a high-powered hand blower, Allen wrenches come with the walking pad, a Phillips screwdriver you likely have on hand, treadmill silicone lubricant, alcohol for wiping off stray lubricant, an air filter, and a good pair of shoes. I'm not going to have a segment for the mat and the shoes, so I'll talk about them now. A treadmill mat improves the shock absorption, which is better for your knees and better for the frame of the treadmill. It also absorbs sound that comes out of the bottom of the motor carriage. And for shoes, you're going to want walking shoes rather than running shoes. I use Hoka. So what I do is I research what nurses wear typically, because they're going to be on their feet all day. And I like Hokas. But I'll have links to all of these down below, and I'll have a link to my website where I have everything you need to know about walking pads, everything you want to purchase, all the maintenance routines, and a table that compares all the different walking pads so you can find the best walking pad based on your preferences of budget, weight, speed, dimensions, durability, popularity, and so forth. Link to my website down below and link to all these down below. So this video is about preventative maintenance. The next video will be about repair. So when your treadmill is on its death march, what can you do to fix it so that you can milk another 6 months to 1 year out of it? Okay, point number one is get the extended warranty. So the lifespan walking pads will last around 8 years, and they typically come with a good long warranty. The budget mills will last 3 to 6 months if you don't keep up with the maintenance, 2 years if you keep up with the maintenance. So you want a warranty that lasts 2 years or longer. By buying an extended warranty, you can get a replacement treadmill every time yours breaks. And I've replaced 3 treadmills and received 1 refund through the course of researching and testing these things. So by buying the extended warranty, you don't have anything to fear about the lifespan of budget treadmills. So buy the extended warranty. That's why you're going to see on my website, most of my links are to Amazon, and that's because Amazon always has the Assurion extended warranty, where the manufacturer websites of the various treadmills that I review may or may not have an extended warranty offering. So if you don't buy your treadmill on Amazon, make sure they offer an extended warranty on the website, 2 years or more. And if they don't, continue shopping. It's that important. Rule number one, get an extended warranty. Now, this particular Evo 3S here is one of my older devices. It's on its death march, its last legs. It is showing the signs of the death of a treadmill, which is good. I keep it for this purpose. This has already been replaced under warranty. That newer 3S is elsewhere. This guy I keep for these videos so I can show off what an ailing treadmill looks like. The typical signs of a dying treadmill are squeaking and screeching sounds, the smell of burning, either burning rubber or some sort of burning machinery. And the burning rubber is the drive belt, and the burning machinery is the motor. Usually that squeaking and screeching is the drive belt, but it could be the motor or the bearings. The telltale sign is a jerky motion of the belt. It either moves you in fits and starts, or it doesn't move you at all. What that usually is the drive belt is slipping on the pulley. Now let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about. I'm gonna turn this on. This is called a cold start. So I'm gonna run this for the first time, and because it's not warmed up, ideally it either won't move me or it will move me in jerky motions. And I hope you can hear the screechy sound. There we go. Look at that. That drive belt's slipping. It's not moving me at all. Let's turn up the speed so it's a little bit more obvious. Step on, nothing. Step off, fast. Okay, those are the early signs of an ailing mill. Tip number 2 is run your treadmill for 1 to 2 minutes at max speed before you use it every day. So I'm gonna turn it back on, and I'm gonna turn it to max speed. I'll let it run for the purpose of the video so I can show you what I'm talking about, but I'll describe what's going on. This is guesswork. I'm theorizing here, so I could be wrong. But my theory is that the ribbing in the drive belt has these notches. They're called ribs, and they go inside of the pulley ribs like teeth. And my guess, because the drive belt is rubber, is that the drive belt expands a little bit with heat. And so it expands to fill in the crevices of that pulley. And so when you let it run for a little bit before you start using it, it will get a good hold on that pulley, so it's less likely to slip. And when you do what I just did, and it causes the drive belt to slip over the pulley, you're wearing down the drive belt. So when you're getting that jerky motion or the no motion, you're actually doing harm, both to the bearings and the motor, but mostly the drive belt. So you want to avoid that. And one way to mitigate that is to warm it up. So don't walk on your treadmill on a cold start. Warm it up first. Now let's see if my theory is right. By my estimation, it will move me a little bit more now. Oh yeah, that's the death march. Last legs. Okay, maintenance tip number 3. Walk on your treadmill no longer than 45 minutes at a time and give it a 5 to 10 minute break. These budget walking pads, this motor chamber here is called the motor carriage. The plastic that contains the motor and the drive belt and the rollers and the circuitry contains a lot of heat. That heat doesn't dissipate very well, especially with the budget pads. The lifespans can go continuously for longer periods at a time. Some of them advertise 8 hours at a time, but the budget mills less so. Some are better than others. Some budget walking pads have no ventilation, any openings or air holes or anything, and those things will burn out fast. I think that's kind of rare. Most of them have ventilation. Nonetheless, they don't deal with heat super effectively. And the solution is simple. Walk 30 to 45 minutes at a time, and then step off your treadmill, go grab a glass of water, go grab a cup of coffee, go to the bathroom, catch up on your emails for 5 to 10 minutes, and then come back on. That sounds like a tall order. If you're gonna be working all day, shouldn't you be able to walk all day? But I think you'll find that once it becomes a little bit more ritualistic second nature, you typically walk away from the desk every 45 minutes anyway. Turn it into a system. In fact, there's a system called the Pomodoro Technique where you work undistracted for 25 minutes at a time, no emails, you don't even respond to Slack messages. Total uninterrupted work for 25 minutes, and then you take a 5-minute break to catch up on everything. Text messages, emails, Slack messages, water, coffee, bathroom break. And you do that on repeat throughout the course of the day. It's very good for focus and attention and maintaining flow state. I swear by it, it's great for ADHD. So integrate the Pomodoro Technique into your walking lifestyle for a 1-2 punch. And that's what I do. I walk half hour, take a 5-minute break. Walk a half hour, take a 5-minute break. And that keeps the heat down in the motor carriage, and it extends the lifespan of your walking pad. Again, this is kind of a budget treadmill issue. It's really not an issue with the premium treadmills like Lifespan and Unsit. So there's 1 point for the premium mills and -1 point for Tyler championing the budget mills, but it's navigable. Okay, point number 4, de-dust your treadmill frequently. These motor carriages will collect pet hair and dust inside of them. And that will get into the bearings of the rods and the pulley system and the engine. And it will degrade your device super fast. They do say this in the manual that you want to keep dust and pet hair out of there. For reference regarding how frequently you should do these tasks, I use this 40 hours a week. I use it all day at work, 8 hours a day. So I walk 40 hours a week, and when it comes to dusting and lubricating, convert that to how often you use your walking pad. I do this every single day. The very first thing I do in the morning is I dust my treadmill. So you lift it up, and you can see that there's a grail there, and there's some spacing down here, and they all look different, but they'll all have some opening spaces where you can blow the blower. This is a super high-powered hand blower. These are more effective than the hand vac blower combos. They have stronger RPM. And then you blow it in anywhere that there's an opening to loosen up all of the dust and hair. Then you blow it top down through the openings to blast out the rest of it downward. Now I typically tip it up to do this, but it doesn't fit into the frame. So let me show you. Just 10 seconds, that's all you need. And that little maintenance task, de-dusting your motor carriage, will really extend the lifespan of your walking pad. Dust and hair really harm the machinery of these guys. Another thing you could do to prevent hair and dust buildup is get an air filter or air purifier. These Honeywell guys have these big filters and they collect a lot of dust. You can see the dust here. I cleaned this out 2 days ago, so it actually collects quite a lot. You could put that in your room or your office. I put it right at the head of the walking pad just to make sure whatever dust is gonna go that way, let's go this way instead. Another thing some people do, and I've never tried this, is you can disassemble the motor carriage, take all the plastic off, unscrew the screws, rip it all off, expose the motor, and put a fan, like a desk fan at the base that blows cool air there. Some people do that on Reddit. I've seen that quite a lot. I've never tried it myself. One reason I haven't tried that, and you'll see in a minute, is there's a lot of circuitry that's affixed to the plate that you'd remove. So I just think it's a big nuisance. I de-dust it and I only walk half hour at a time. I think that's good enough. Tip number 5, lubricate your belt. Always lubricate your belt. It is extremely important. Now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get silicone lubricant, and I experiment with various brands of these, so you might see a different brand on my website. You're going to apply it in a zigzag fashion between the belt and the walking deck. What's a real nuisance with some of these treadmills is they come with these side rails, and these are too thin to stand on. They're not that sturdy in the first place, so I don't know why they have them. They just get in the way of accessing the belt to apply the lubricant, which is such a common task. You're gonna do this once every 40 hours of use. Once every 40 hours of use. I do this because I walk on this 8 hours a day, that's 40 hours a week. I do this every Monday morning as a ritual. Every Monday morning, because these stupid rails are here, I have to loosen the belt. But some treadmills come with no rail. It's flush access directly. You can just take this and put it right under the belt without any obstruction. So what you do is every walking pad will come with an Allen wrench, and you will take that Allen wrench, and back here there are Allen screws, and you will loosen the belt. Now I don't know if you noticed, but I already loosened it a little bit, but I want to show you what this looks like. So you loosen it back here, and what that does is it brings the rolling pin, loosens it away from the back here, and as a result the belt becomes loose. Then you take off this cap and you put it under here and you squeeze it and you go zigzag towards the center about 4 seconds or so. You just want to make sure there's a good strudel frosting right down the center. It's tough to say how much is too much or too little. I think just get a feel for it, but you can look that up online to get an exact amount of how much to apply. Now, after you do that, it's going to create a slick surface between the walking belt and the walking deck. And that will reduce friction when the pad is being pressed down and pulled backwards. And that reduced friction will reduce load on the motor. It will reduce how much the motor has to work to turn the belt. And as a result, it will reduce the heat buildup in the carriage and will preserve the life of the motor. And also, it will reduce the heat buildup in this area, which gets sort of circulated in through the motor carriage. It's something you want to do every 40 hours and make sure you don't miss that step. And that brings us to number 6. Now that I have loosened the belt to apply the lubricant, it's time to tighten it. Some people will count the number of counterclockwise lefty-loosies they performed so that they could exactly replicate that amount of righty-tighties to make sure it goes exactly back to where it was. Other people will put their heads in here and eyeball where that rolling pin is relative to some landmark inside of there. What I like to do is I like to go a little loosey-goosey about this. I tighten it to the point that I think is good, just from a gut check, and then I start it. Now, this particular maintenance task is called correcting belt drift. So the reason I'm a little loosey-goosey is you will very likely encounter belt drift after tightening your belt because you applied lubricant, because it's really hard to get it exact. Let's see if we have belt drift. The faster you go, the sooner it manifests. You can see this gap here on this side. It's actually quite a big gap. In fact, it's actually rubbing against the back here. I'm probably doing damage. The way you correct belt drift is you tighten the side that doesn't have the gap. You tighten the side that looks too tight. You tighten the opposite side of the gap. And as long as you're running it at max speed, the fix will manifest itself sooner than later. You run it at lower speed if you want to be more careful. And there we go. That's about right. You notice all this, how gross it is on the belt and the rails. That is lubricant. And the way you clean up lubricant, if it gets on surfaces or on the treadmills, you use alcohol. Alcohol is how you get rid of lubricant. As important as making sure the alignment is correct, that it's not too far to one side, is making sure the tightness is correct. And if it's not tight enough, the belt will slip over the rolling pin. And if it's too tight, then it'll put a bit of strain on the motor because it has to really work to roll that pin. So what is the optimal tightness? There are some instructions in your manual about how many inches you should be able to tug the belt off the deck. But my system is, as I'm correcting the belt drift, I look for if it's swaying from left to right. You might get the alignment down perfect, but it'll still just sway a little bit left to right as it's moving. And if it's swaying, it's too loose. So I tighten it just until it stops swaying and it's aligned and you're good to go. Tip number 7, correct belt drift in the front also, not just the back. And I think this tip might make the difference in that last stretch of a treadmill's lifespan between those who experience early failure and those who don't. Because they don't talk about this in the manual. What happens is that the belt can drift on the front rolling pin in the motor carriage. And you really have to have an eye for this. And if that happens, then there will be unequal tension on one side of that roller than the other. That uneven distribution will cause wear on the bearings inside of the roller. It will cause strain and wear on the pulley, and the uneven wear on the drive belt will cause the ribbing in the drive belt to fray and wear down, and that will lead to slippage, and it will also cause uneven strain on the motor. So a misaligned front roller can lead to mechanical failure of your treadmill. So what you do is you turn it off, unplug it. With this particular model, taking off the front part requires flipping it upside down and unscrewing the long screws. I've already done it here, so they're missing. There are 4 screws that go all the way through to the front plate. And then there are 4 screws that are for the back plate. And we're going to access the front roller pin from the front plate. So I've unscrewed those 4 screws, and now I'm going to take off the front plate. And it's connected to the LED console, so you just keep it close when setting it aside. You can see that there's a certain amount of gap here and a certain amount of gap here. Or better yet, you can eyeball it as the alignment of the belt to some sort of line marker based on the ridges of the side rail. This screw here adjusts one rolling pin angle, and there's no way to adjust the other side. So you just make sure that you tighten this or loosen it until it's perfectly aligned on both sides when you run it at max speed. And getting the alignment of this roller is much more crucial than the back roller. If this roller is misaligned, then unequal tension will be placed on the pulley, the drive belt, the bearings inside of the roller, and the motor. And that will degrade it very fast. If you start to hear harsh sounds, squeaking, screeching, or you start to smell bad smells, then that's the first thing to check, is the alignment of the front roller. Very often, the first thing to go is the drive belt, because the drive belt is made of rubber, and rubber degrades with heat and poor alignment. This is the old drive belt. I'll show you how to replace that in the next video. And the ribbing inside of the drive belt is what wears down, and it also stretches over time. And if the ribbing is worn or the drive belt is too stretched, then it will slip over the pulley and it won't move the roller. And that will cause strain on the motor as well. Now, how often do you do this task? Maybe once every 6 months. Or if you see any gap towards the front rather than the back, or in the worst case scenario, when you start to experience any sort of problems, look to the alignment of the front rolling pin. Now notice the notch there in the frame. That indicates where the pin should be aligned to. And if you open up the plate and you find that it's aligned, then there's no need to adjust the alignment. The alignment of this pin is not intended to be adjusted. You just may find that just due to all the jostling and pounding, it may have become unaligned. If it's not unaligned, don't adjust it, because the manufacturer aligned it very, very precisely within millimeters, exactly where it needs to be. And changing that alignment, again, could cause strain on the machinery of your treadmill. But if you do find after opening up the plate that this is misaligned, then you want to align it. In general, if the belt is misaligned, it's likely at the back, where fixing for belt drift is a standard procedure. I'm only showing you how to align the front pin in case it's clear that this became misaligned. So I had a conversation with ChatGPT about that front roller. And I know this is kind of cheap of me, but I'm going to read it out loud. ChatGPT says, when I talk about uneven wear, I'm talking about the drive belt. Misalignment or poor tension puts uneven stress on the belt ribs and edges. This can make them wear or fray much faster, sometimes in weeks instead of years. But more importantly, that same uneven stress gets transferred to the motor shaft and pulleys, potentially leading to bearing wear, which causes noise and heat, extra load on the motor, which shortens its lifespan. Use of these devices is only sustainable as long as the motor stays cool and quiet, and you're not noticing slippage, burning smells, or resistance under load. If you are noticing these things, that belt issue is bleeding into motor health territory, which leads us to concern if you hear whining, grinding, or high-pitched noise that wasn't there before. The treadmill struggles to maintain pace or feels jerky, and it starts to get hot faster than usual. Pop the cover and look at the motor pulley. Is it scorched, rubber-coated, or deformed? Look at the drive belt, shredded, glazed, or unusually stretched. Check the deck belt, running belt. Make sure that it isn't dragging or causing excess motor load. And try resetting alignment and tension. Even if the motor is degraded, aligning now can help avoid total failure. Pulley alignment. Pulleys must be in a single straight plane. And if you press down mid-belt, it should deflect 1/4 to 1/2 inch with moderate force. And on some treadmills, you can replace this drive belt, which goes out first. And I'll show you that in the next video. As far as replacing the motor, those things run about $300, and this whole treadmill was $300. So if the motor goes out, you might as well just get a new treadmill. You'll know when the motor goes out because it just stops working. It just stops working, totally stops working. Sometimes when you press go, you'll get an error code on your console, and other times just nothing happens. And when the motor's gone, it's time for a new treadmill. But there's a lot of wiggle room up until that point. So point number 1, get an extended warranty no matter what device you buy. 2 years or more ideally. Amazon has the Assurion warranty, and some manufacturer websites offer their own extended warranty. This means you don't have to worry about the actual lifespan of the treadmill, because by the time it dies, you'll be able to get a free replacement or a refund. Point number 2, and I'm actually going to shuffle these based on the order of operations through the day. Point number 2 is de-dust your treadmill frequently. Me personally, I do it every morning. You might do it every other day or once a week. use a hand blower to blow out the dust and hair from the motor carriage. Point number 3, now that it's dedusted, before you use it that day, run it at max speed for 1 to 2 minutes. This will warm it up. My theory being it expands the ribbing on the drive belt, but I don't know what it is. What I do know is that frequently if you walk on it on a cold start, you'll experience jerky motions, and you don't want that because those jerky motions means you're putting strain on the machinery. Point number 4, walk for 30 to 45 minutes at a time, take a 5-minute break. You might consider using the Pomodoro Technique to make this palatable. Those are your daily maintenance tasks. Now for weekly. Point number 5, lubricate using silicone treadmill lubricant every 40 hours of treadmill use. If you walk full-time, do this every Monday morning. Make it a ritual. Point number 6, if you experience belt drift, which happens naturally, but especially happens after you lubricate, if you had to loosen the belt due to high side rails, then correct for belt drift using an Allen wrench, both for the alignment so that your belt doesn't bunch up on one side and ruin the belt, but also for tightness so that your belt isn't slipping over the rolling pin. So that's an as needed basis. And then point number 7, which is also as needed, but at least every 6 months, check the alignment on the front roller. Correct for belt drift on the front rolling pin so that you don't cause uneven strain throughout your machinery. Okay, those are the maintenance tasks to prevent your treadmill from failing. But once it starts failing, in the next video, we'll recover the repair tasks, namely replacing the drive belt, which is one of the first things to go out. Now, incidentally, you may have noticed in this video, there were 2 times of day I was recording. One was yesterday before I replaced the drive belt, and the other was today after I replaced it. I was successful in doing that, after which the jerking and the stopping went away, and so did the smells and sounds. So I'll have a link to that video when it's available down below.